your devices are about to be taken for this slur. When this person did message me, which I'm so grateful that she did, I had a good conversation with her about it.
I'm about to, very soon.
Really?
Yeah. Yo, Dasha.
And I love you. I love you. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
There's like so much has happened in the last 48 hours that it's such like a new, unique. I mean, I'm not used to, having my picture taken where we're going.
One moment, the villa was buzzing with the usual chaos, flirty glances, dramatic recouplings, and whispered alliances. Then, in the middle of it all, something strange happened. Cierra Ortega, one of the season's most talked about islanders, vanished. No goodbye. No explanation. Just ... gone. Viewers were stunned. One night, she was center screen, laughing, dancing, locking eyes with an icy Van Brigand the next. Her presence was scrubbed clean. Her name wasn't mentioned in the recap. The Islanders didn't seem to understand it either. Even Nikki, who had been romantically involved with her, looked visibly shaken during the next episode. And when fans demanded answers, producers gave a single, sterile line. Cierra has left the villa, but what the show didn't say was far more explosive. Behind the scenes, chaos had erupted. A firestorm of screenshots was spreading online. ALLEGEDLY, showing Cierra using a racial slur in an old social media post. Fans were furious. A petition demanding her removal from the show exploded overnight, collecting thousands of signatures in just hours. And for producers, the timing couldn't have been worse, especially since this wasn't the first scandal of the season. But the question lingered in everyone's minds. How did this stay hidden for so long? And what was going through Nick's head when the woman he'd been falling for disappeared without a trace? What unfolded next would spark a national conversation and leave both fans and Islanders wondering if they ever really knew who. Cierra Ortega WAS? But that was only the beginning. When Cierra Ortega first walked into the villa, she didn't just turn head, she stole the spotlight with a confident smile, striking style, and a natural charm that lit up every scene. She quickly became a fan favorite. 4 weeks? She played the game with precision. Flirtatious but loyal, bold but likable. Social media lit up with praise. Viewers hailed her as the one to watch, and many predicted she'd be part of the winning couple. To most, Cierra was the full package. But what made her stand out wasn't just her looks or her gameplay, it was how authentic she seemed. In a house filled with over-the-top personalities and attention-hungry antics, Cierra struck a different tone. She was playful without being performative, strategic without being fake. Even her connection with Nika von Steenberg felt different, natural, slow-burning, and real. The kind of pairing that had viewers rooting hard from their couches. It was easy to believe the story. Cierra had nailed the reality TV formula. Make an entrance, build a romance, stay cool in drama, and coast to the finals. But what no one realized was that Cierra's carefully curated image had that had been buried under old tweets and long-forgotten posts. And when that past came back, it didn't just threaten her place in the villa, it destroyed the foundation of everything she'd built. Because as polished as her reality TV presence was, the internet doesn't forget. And that's when the storm really began. It all started with a screenshot. A grainy, years-old post surfaced showing Cierra Ortega using a deeply offensive anti-Asian slur, one that immediately sent shockwaves through the Love Island fandom. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just days earlier, another contestant, Yulisa Escobar, had been removed from the show over similar allegations. But this time, the backlash was even more explosive. What followed was a digital tsunami. Fans flooded Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit with demands for accountability. The phrase "remove Cierra" began trending overnight. A petition calling for her expulsion from the show gained over 17,000 signatures in a matter of hours. Viewers didn't just want answers, they wanted action, and fast. Behind the scenes, producers were scrambling. Crisis meetings were reportedly held, and legal teams got involved. The show's public image was at stake. Just weeks earlier, they had committed to zero tolerance for hate speech when Ulysses' removal made headlines. Now, with Cierra, they were being tested again, and this time, it involved a much more prominent figure in the game. What made things even murkier was the way it all played out on screen. There was no dramatic confrontation, no emotional send-off. Cierra was simply gone. Viewers who hadn't seen the online storm were left in confusion, and those who had expected a full-on expose felt cheated. And in the middle of it all was Nicey Van Steenberg, visibly shaken, blindsided, and left without even a clear explanation. But Nick's reaction would soon spark its own set of questions. When Cierra vanished from the villa, Nicey Van Steenberg was hit harder than anyone. To the rest of the Islanders, it seemed like just another twist. But for Nikki, who had built a growing emotional connection with her, it felt like the floor had been ripped out from under him. One moment, they were laughing and planning their next move as a couple. The next, she was simply not there. And the producers, they told him almost nothing. In a post-show interview, Nicey admitted he was completely lost and confused. All he was told was that Cierra had left for personal reasons, and he was left to piece together the truth on his own, just like the audience. He considered leaving the villa altogether. His mind was racing with what-ifs and unfinished conversations. How do you move forward with someone gone and no closure? What made it worse was the silence that followed. The Islanders were discouraged from discussing the situation openly, likely to avoid inflaming the controversy. But fans picked up on Nick's distant behavior in the episodes after Cierra's exit. He seemed distracted, unsure, quieter, behind. That smile was a guy clearly wrestling with what had just happened, and yet he stayed. He later revealed that what kept him going wasn't clarity or peace, it was support from castmates, and an unspoken sense that his story in the villa wasn't over yet. Viewers had their eyes on him. Would he recover? Would he find a new connection? Or would Cierra's shadow follow him to the end of the season? As the dust settled, Nicey made a move that no one saw coming, and it changed the entire dynamic of the show. Because soon a new name would enter. The picture and fans weren't ready. Days after her sudden exit, Cierra Ortega finally broke her silence. In a 5-minute TikTok video that quickly went viral, she addressed everything: her removal, the offensive post, and the backlash that erupted online. Sitting in a plain room, with no glom team or production lights, Cierra looked visibly shaken. And for the first time since the controversy began, viewers heard her side. She didn't sugarcoat it. "I was removed for something I said years ago. And honestly, I understand," she said in the video. "There's no excuse for it, and I have to live with that." It was a moment of raw vulnerability, and whether or not you believed her sincerity, it was clear she wasn't reading from a script. But the apology wasn't just about her. Cierra revealed that her family had been dragged into the scandal. She spoke about the harassment they'd faced: threats, hateful messages, even calls for immigration investigations. Her parents, who had nothing to do with her appearance on the show, were suddenly at the center of a digital witch hunt. "They don't deserve this," she said, her voice cracking. "Hate doesn't fix hate." Some fans appreciated the accountability. Others felt it was a carefully timed PR move. Either way, the damage was done. Sponsors backed off. Her follower count stalled, and casting directors likely took note. Cierra admitted that she couldn't undo what she'd said in the past, but promised her actions moving forward would speak louder than any apology. Still, questions lingered. Why hadn't producers vetted this before she ever entered the villa? Why was the audience left in the dark while the show continued as if nothing had happened? And while Cierra was apologizing to the world, Nikki was making headlines for a very different reason. Because just as the audience started to move on, NIC was moving in on someone new. While the villa was still reeling from Cierra's sudden disappearance, Nicey Van Steenberg made a move no one expected. Enter Olondria Katana, late arrival to the villa, confident, grounded, and refreshingly, where Cierra had brought high energy and playfulness. Olondria offered calm and clarity, and Nicey, still picking up the emotional pieces, found himself drawn to her. At first, viewers were skeptical. Was this real chemistry? or just a strategic but as episodes aired, something surprising happened. Fans began to root for them. Together, they were charming, balanced, and undeniably authentic. No flashy declarations. No messy love triangles. Just a slow, steady bond that felt ... real. The internet gave them a name, Nicolandria. The nickname spread fast, and so did the support. Suddenly, Neeks wasn't just the guy left behind, he was the comeback story. Fans loved how he handled the situation with maturity, and how he didn't bash Cierra or seek attention from the controversy. Instead, he focused on building something new, and Olandria matched his energy step for step. But, of course, not everyone bought into the fairy tale. Some accused the show of damage control, pairing Nightsea with someone unproblematic to restore public favor. Others speculated that producers pushed the edit to repair the show's image after the Cierra backlash, and a few fans still held out hope that Aniki and Cierra might reconnect after the season ended. But Aniki seemed aloof. In interviews after the show, he described his connection with Olandria as realer than anything he expected. He even hinted that the Cierra situation had shown him exactly what he didn't want in a relationship. That alone sent social media into overdrive. Still, as the finale approached, the stakes were high. Would the public crown Nicolandria the winners, or would controversy overshadow their climb to the top? The answer would spark a whole new wave of outrage. Going into the finale, it felt like NIC and Olandria, tamang conhecido como Nicolandria, were the obvious fruitrunners. They had the momentum, they had the fan support, and most importantly, they had the redemption arc. After everything NIC had endured, silence, the confusion, the emotional reset, viewers were ready to reward him with the win. Everything pointed to a fairy tale ending. But when the final results rolled in, jaws dropped. Amaya Spinel and Brian Arenales were crowned the winners of Love Island USA Season 7, and instantly, the internet exploded. Comments flooded every social feed. Rigged. Make it make sense. Nicolandria was robbed. Even neutral fans were confused. Amaya and Brian had been relatively low profile throughout the season, no big scandals, no standout moments, and no massive fan base. So how did they end up walking away with the crown? Rumors began swirling. Some fans speculated that the producers steered the win away from Nicolandria to avoid further controversy. Others believed the votes were split, and that Amaya and Brian simply benefited from flying under the radar. But for Nisi and Olandria, the loss didn't seem to matter much. In post-show interviews, they were all smiles, grateful, supportive, and focused on the future. Nicey thanked fans for sticking by him through the weirdest emotional roller coaster he'd ever experienced. Olandria echoed his sentiment, calling the show a beautiful mess that somehow led her to the right person. It was a graceful exit, but fans weren't ready to let it go. Online debates continued. Was it a stolen victory? Was Nicolandria the couple America wanted, but not the one the producers would allow? And would the fallout from this season force the franchise to finally change the way it handles vetting, transparency, and contestant accountability? Whatever the truth, one thing was clear. When the credits rolled on Love Island USA Season 7, it wasn't just the end of another summer romance saga. It was a turning point, a season where love took a backseat to accountability, controversy, and the uncomfortable truth that reality TV doesn't always know how to deal with real life. Cierra Ortega's removal didn't just expose old tweets, it exposed the cracks in the system. It raised questions about how closely these contestants are vetted, how networks choose to handle backlash, and whether public relations will always come before transparency. Fans didn't just want drama, they wanted honesty, and this season proved how quickly a fan favorite can become a symbol of something far more serious. Inaishi, Ban Steam Baget, once just another handsome hopeful, became the unlikely emotional anchor of the season. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, and he didn't turn his heartbreak into a spectacle. Instead, he kept moving forward through confusion, doubt, and public scrutiny. In doing so, he gained something more powerful than a cash prize: credibility. His bond with Olandria became a reminder that not all reality TV connections are manufactured. Some are forged in the middle of chaos and somehow they still hold. The producers, meanwhile, found themselves in a tight spot. Forced into crisis meetings and under pressure to tighten their screening process, they publicly vowed to do better. But whether that actually happens remains to be seen. The audience isn't as easily distracted anymore. The next time a scandal hits, silence won't be enough. As for Cierra, her road ahead won't be easy. Her apology may have closed one chapter, but rebuilding a public image in the digital age is a long game. One misstep, and it all comes flooding back. Still, her willingness to speak outlawed or not left a lingering question. Can someone truly grow under the spotlight, or does the internet only remember your worst moment? One season, one couple, gone too soon. One unexpected love story, and a scandal that pulled back the curtain on everything reality TV tries to hide. This wasn't just about love in paradise. It was about what happens when paradise is interrupted by the past and whether there's still a way forward when the cameras stop rolling. Because on this island, love isn't always the biggest twist,